My family and I recently took a vacation to a stunning lake in northern Michigan, and while the bulk of my time was spent relaxing with family, I was able to pack the paddleboard and a couple of fishing poles, so I was fortunate to get several chances to fish. Throughout today's video and in videos to come, I will share my experience. Let's go. Day 1.
On the first little trip out on the paddleboard, I'm gonna bring my bass rod. This is like a 7'6", finesse rod right here. And we are going to try to catch some bass. This is all the gear that I have brought with me, so not too much. I mean, we're only paddleboard fishing, so I don't need a ton of stuff. Just enough to just kind of catch a few fish, have a good time, keep things simple. That'll work. All right, that seat is nice and secure. That ought to work pretty good. Okay, that feels awfully good, I'm not gonna lie. I've got an ultralight back at the house. I'm gonna play around with the ultralight a lot this week, but I wanted to start with the bass rod, just see what we can do. Well, it's certainly not still out here. It's gonna take some time to get a little bit of a feel for how I wanna go about this. And the reality is I may end up just fishing with ultralight the whole time, but I gotta at least give it a chance. That's a fish. It's a little smallie. Heck yeah, we're on the board. Gotta land him. Yes, sir. I'll take that. That's what we're looking for. May not be big, but it's a fish. We have caught a fish on our first little trip. I'm throwing a little 3/32 ounce mule jig with a jackworm, and I cut it down to a cut tail version, a little more finesse. And he ain't much, but he's a pretty little fish, and he's feisty. See ya, bud. If it calms down this evening, maybe I can come back out for an evening bite. For now, I feel like I probably should just head in, go swimming, hang out with the family, do normal family vacation stuff. Glad I was able to sneak out here for 40 minutes though. Well, it was calming down and now the wind is back again. So I think the wind is just maybe changing directions. We're just gonna try something different now. We've got our ultralight with us. Between my last outing and this one, I swam a little bit, I ate some BLTs, and I took a nap. So honestly, it's been a very good vacation day. Now we're just using a 1/16 ounce workhorse jig with a Donkey Tail Junior green pumpkin. And we're just gonna try to fish that nice and slow. My line is wrapped around my rod tip, come on. I'm gonna choose to take this as a sign that I just need to snip this thing off. I'm making a very minor change. I went from a 1/16 ounce to a 1/8 ounce workhorse jig. Now that's actually gonna make a huge difference with regards to rate of fall. It's gonna allow me to fish this deeper water much more effectively. There you go, look at that. Blue, darker blue. Come on, now get a bite, Straight out in front of that blue house with the bricks. Okay, straight out. Oh, there's a fish. Yes, sir. I was literally making mental notes. What's this gonna be? Is it gonna be a bass or a rocko? I was making mental notes because there's some guys down here that are literally like scuba diving or snorkeling, I should say. And that's gonna be a rock bass. There you go. Oh, gosh darn it, he shook it. That's okay, whatever. What I was saying is there's some people over here that are snorkeling around and just checking stuff out, and I just literally heard a guy say there's a big old bass by that log down there. And so I'm making mental notes on that location so I can sneak back over there at some point, because they just told me something that I need to know. So I'm just trying to remember where that is, because everything looks the same out here. There's one. Yes, sir. All right, keep pressure. Keep pressure. You are not gonna do me like that last fish. Yes, sir. That's a win in my book. You are sitting here thinking, who in their right mind would battle all these waves for a little rock bass? Well, my friends, welcome to Fish Anything, where we are willing to do anything for small fish. Jeez Louise. We got a fish on the paddleboard on our second little trip out here. Let's go. All right. Now, we got to get back out there. There's one. Oh gosh. That rod almost came out of my hands when I set the hook. Trying not to horse them up because they are pretty deep. What do we got? What do we got? Another Rocco. Hey-oh. There you go. 2 in a row. See ya, buddy. All right. Trying not to horse them up because they are pretty deep. You want to make sure that you're cautious about that swim bladder. But that fish and the last fish went straight back down, so not at all concerned. I love the seat on this paddleboard, but given the situation, I kind of like the no seat strategy where I just put my feet in the water. It is absolutely wonderful out here. The water feels so good. I think this is going to be the play all week. Got you. Felt the thump and I kind of gave him a second to take it because of all those short strikes I've been getting. There you go, folks. There you go. He's giving me some good fight for a Rocco. Roccos don't always have the biggest fights in the world, but look at that fish. They're built nice and healthy, man, and he just goes straight back down. You know, I tried to give him a little momentum, but he just swam right back down. That's great. Well, I guess I'll make one last cast. Probably won't catch a fish because I am going to get pushed right into shore and I'm not going to fight it anymore. Can't tell if my family's still up on the beach or not. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like it. They're still on the beach, so this is good timing. We've been having fun dealing with the wind and fishing, but now it is time to jump in because this water is absolutely stunning. Here we go. Day 2, we've got the boost with us, which is going to help immensely in just getting back into position. We are going to do the exact same thing we were doing yesterday evening, and that is throw a 1/8 ounce workhorse jig on the drop off. And hopefully we can pick up where we left off and catch some more rock bass. Now I feel like the wind is a little bit more calm today, so I'm hopeful that we don't have too many issues. It's amazing how well I can feel the bottom with a 1/8 ounce jig. It all comes down to the fact that I'm using low diameter line. I'm using a very sensitive rod, very sensitive line. There's a fish. He was holding it. It's probably a rock bass is my guess. Again, I don't want to horse them when I'm bringing them up this much in the water column. Just kind of let them do their thing. The bigger fish will fight harder, but these smaller fish like this rock bass, you don't want to horse them necessarily. There you go though, we're on the board. That did not take near as long to catch a fish. That's because we're slowly figuring a few things out. Nice little chunky rock bass, and we're gonna turn him loose. And there he goes. You can clearly see that I'm on the break line. Dark water, blue water. And I just wanna fish near this break line, and a little bit off is fine too. There was another nice hit right there. And that fish was not as deep. That fish was right at the break line. And when I set the hook, I already saw his white belly, so I know he wasn't as deep. There you go, another Rocco. See you, buddy. This is fun. I'm kind of digging the rock bass fishing, I'm not gonna lie. Not a lot of people appreciate these fish, but I'll tell you what, if you just wanna catch fish, they are a good fish to go after, especially on these northern lakes, clear water. You can just fish these break lines, and there's so many of these guys, you can catch them all day long. And I have no problem with fishing for a rock bass with an ultralight rod and just catching them all day long. There's another nice little bite right there. That first initial pull by these rock bass is actually pretty good. This one's actually fighting decent. Not too bad. Man, we are hitting them a little harder today. It didn't take very long. And that, my friends, is a pretty big one. They're all very, very fat. They're all very healthy. So I have no complaints with these fish. If they were really, really dinky, then I might not necessarily want to target them, but they're all very respectable Roccos. All right, see you, buddy. I know this video has been slightly unconventional, and that's mostly because I have no idea what I'm planning to do with it. I'm just kind of filming as I go, but I'm sure I'll be able to piece it together. You know, I'm on vacation, spending a lot of time with family, having a great time with family, and I fish here and there when I get a chance, and I'm not gonna complain one bit because I'm having an absolute blast. With the paddleboard, with limited gear, you know, you gotta kind of have lower expectations. You gotta just take what you can get, and I feel like I will certainly take rock bass all day, all night, no problems, baby. Rock bass on ultralight, good with me. Turning, and click this button, and we're gonna zip right back out there to the brake line. This is the way to do it, folks. Use the technology. Use the technology. Why overcomplicate things when you've got technology? Let's just catch some more fish real quick. That is what I'm talking about. I can really see a use for this little boost fin, I'm not gonna lie. This drop-off extends basically the entirety of this lake, so I feel like I can go just about anywhere and catch fish, but I have to be on this specific range. And so it's really important that when I start drifting off of that depth range, I have to be able to zip back. And as much as I can paddle, it's just a little bit less convenient. My friends, I am an American. I am inherently lazy. There you go. That is not a dog on my fellow Americans. I'm just saying, that's a smallmouth bass, my friends. Just to be clear, I'm a very proud American. But, you know, why not? Why not put a motor on the boat? Dudes, my dudes, we are ultralight fishing, and what do we hook? Why am I focused on this weird take that I am on right now? We are catching a donkey of a smallmouth bass. You're talking ultralight, folks. I don't know why I'm talking in the northern accent, but we're in northern Michigan. Welcome back to Fish Anything, where, my friends, we use ultralight and we catch just about anything. We will fish for just about anything. You know what else we need, my friends? We need my net. You know why? Because we got a nice northern donkey. And when I say northern donkey, I mean a quality fish for ultralight, not necessarily a true donkey. The smallmouth in this lake probably get quite substantially large, but this on an ultralight is an absolute beauty. Let's go. 1/8 ounce workhorse jig, green pumpkin, black flake, donkey tail junior to the dome. Let's go. All right, buddy. See you later. Right back. That gives me so much confidence that we're gonna be able to catch more smallmouth on this brake line. I grew up in Kansas and I have a lot of pride in where I come from, but I gotta say, Michigan has a lot to offer. So if Pure Michigan wants to go ahead and sponsor the channel, I will do more stuff like this any day of the week. It is genuinely a beautiful state. There is a lot to offer in this state. I've never really seen anywhere quite like Michigan. I'm from Kansas, but I've traveled a good bit for fishing, and I've also lived in other places for work. And ever since moving to Michigan, I've never really wanted to leave, and it's because of stuff like this. You just don't get this kind of stuff everywhere. It is absolutely fantastic. I am Team Michigan. I am definitely. Now, when it comes to athletics, I will always be a Kansas State fan, so don't ask me about Michigan athletics. I may love this state, but you know, I'll say this, go green, go green. My wife is a Michigan Stater. Not much of a Wolverine myself, and you know, whatever. What am I talking about? We are talking about random stuff out here. Another Rocco though, here you go, another Rocco. Man, they are loaded, they are just chunky. They are seriously meatballs, I'm telling you folks, seriously meatballs. I think someone should make a chart where it compares every single freshwater species to a type of food. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'll make your chart just a little bit easier. The rock bass is a meatball. There is nothing else it can be. And there's another one right there. This one, I don't feel like this jig got all the way to the bottom. This fish probably came up and slurped it. Is it another meatball? The fact that it's not fighting anymore tells me it's another meatball. If it was a smallmouth, it would surge towards the top and jump just like that other one. Man, that was just a fat little meatball, my friends. Look at that fish. He wants to fight, but he's like not capable because these fish have such a funny build. I feel like they're just not big fighters. They kind of have like an initial pull, and then they just turn their body and just try to put all their weight against you. But they really do not fight that hard. That's okay. That's okay in my book. Not every single fish can fight hard. They're just built so funny. They're somewhere in between a bluegill and a crappie from like a shape and size perspective, but they're extremely fat. They're just like, they are just sitting on a couch, eating potato chips and watching football. They have no interest in doing anything else. And that's fine, I respect it. You almost have to just respect it. A rock bass is just kind of a fat fish that doesn't have a lot of fight in it. You gotta respect it to an extent. All right, I have got an absolute belly full of lasagna. Just ate dinner, and now it's time to go out for one more little hoorah before the day's through. I'm telling you guys, I don't have any self-discipline when it comes to lasagna. The more lasagna in my belly, the better. And then after I eat it, my belly says, oh my goodness. It's been pretty cloudy today, so we don't really get a sunset tonight, but I would imagine the sun will be setting here shortly. So we're gonna have a short little trip here. The goal is to just put a couple more on the paddleboard. There's a fish. I was adjusting my paddle and I saw my rod creeping away a little bit. And I'm like, well, I think this is a smallmouth. It's coming up to the surface. Yeah, he's coming towards me. That's a smallie. Oh my gosh, that fish just jumped like 2.5, 3 feet in the water. I literally was adjusting my paddle and my line just started moving. I'm like, I don't really want to lose a rod. So I dropped the paddle, picked up the rod, set the hook. Wham, bam, smallmouth, ma'am. Let's go. Okay, well, evidently we can catch some smallmouth on the break line here. Another one similar to the one we caught earlier. Probably should grab my paddle here, or probably should grab my net. All right, come on. Okay, geez Louise, relentless. Relentless. My goodness, ultralight, baby. Not necessarily targeting smallmouth, but we're gonna take smallmouth. Jeez Louise, they just don't want to get in. They do not want to get on this paddleboard. This guy does not want to be on the paddleboard. Look, the paddleboard is honestly a blast. I will release you very shortly after landing you. Come on. Get up here. Oh, another respectable ultralight smallmouth. Let's go. Glad I came out this evening. Belly full of lasagna, catching a nice bronzy. No complaints, man. It's kind of the American dream. There you go. Man, that fish fought so hard. Probably about 14.5, 15 inches. Very quality smallmouth bass. On the paddleboard. Back to it. Well, came back out here and we got another fish. Now this one's gonna be a rock bass because it is not getting up in the water column, getting ready to jump. Rock bass want to stay low and just be a meatball, do meatball stuff. Smallmouth bass, you hook them and then all of a sudden they are at the surface. Like next thing you know, they are at the surface. It's crazy because I probably hooked that one smallmouth in, I don't know, 20 foot of water or so. And by the time I caught up with him, he was at the surface and he jumped literally 2+ feet out of the water. It's honestly incredible. Such a fun way to fish. This fishing right here, this like depth, this style of fishing is really the exact motivator, I would say, for these larger workhorse jigs. The 3/16 and the 1/8 are really designed to do stuff like this. Fish that deeper water, you know, try to maintain that bottom contact, have a lot of feel over your bait. I really have felt like I've had a lot of feel down there. It's been incredibly sensitive. The tungsten resin jig, the braided line, and this nice quality ultralight rod blank, I can really feel everything down there. That is a really, really fat rock bass. See you, buddy. He fought pretty good for a rocko, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my gosh, I did it. I landed one of these little things. That's what I've been getting those little tiny short strikes on, and I finally managed to hook one, which is honestly quite impressive. But that's a great fish to end on. Well, I tell you what, folks, I've been out a handful of times over the last day and a half, and it started off a little bit slow. Kind of had to deal with some wind. I was just getting acclimated.
But now I've just embraced the ultralight bite. I've come out to this break line, and time again, I am catching fish. And you know what's promising? I'm starting to hook into some smallmouth bass, my friends. So I have quite a bit of optimism for the next couple days. I've got 3 more days to be on the water, so I'm not entirely sure what the future content looks like, but stay tuned. Make sure to click subscribe below, and we are going to continue to catch fish. I can guarantee you that. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a great day. We'll catch you next time.